Recently, two Uyghur activist organizations filed a complaint to the International Criminal Court against China, alleging the top brass committed crimes and human rights abuses against Uyghurs, including harvesting organs. This comes as Secretary of State Mike Pompeo threatened further sanctions against the Chinese government for serious human rights violations. Here to talk about this development more is the Prime Minister of the East Turkistan Government in Exile, Salih Hudayar. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So the two Uyghur activist organizations, the East Turkistan National Awakening Movement and the East Turkistan Government in Exile, filed that complaint to the ICC against Beijing's leadership. Have they received a response since that claim was filed?
At the moment, we haven't received any response from either the International Criminal Court. Chinese state media has commented on it, claiming that it was baseless. However, immediately 3 days afterwards, the U.S. government sanctioned four Chinese officials, two of which were on the list that we had put into the submitted to the ICC. More so, this past Friday, the U.S. Treasury Department sanctioned the Chinese paramilitary force in East Turkestan for its role in the crimes against humanity that are being perpetrated.
You mentioned those recent sanctions that were implemented, and just a couple of weeks ago, the U.S. imposed sanctions on 11 Chinese firms and some suppliers for U.S. firms over their use of forced labor and other forms of repression against Uyghur Muslims in China. How do these latest actions help fight China's human rights abuses?
Well, the latest actions by the U.S. government, especially the sanctioning of the CPC, the CPCC, which is the 3.5 million paramilitary force in East Turkestan, shows that the United States government is not going to sit around and allow China to continue, these mass atrocities that it's undertaking. Sanctioning the Chinese companies sends a signal to Chinese companies and entities, sends a signal to Western companies operating in the region to either pull out or reassess its supply chain and not facilitate the forced labor and other atrocities that are going in the region. So it's going to hit China hard, very economically.
You mentioned that supply chain, which brings up another concern, which is how investigations found that these Chinese companies are using Uyghurs to produce, for example, personal protection equipment, some of which is ending up in the U.S. and other countries. One of those companies is BYD, which California Governor Gavin Newsom gave them another $315 million for masks. What's your reaction to that?
Well, we definitely condemn this, especially given that everyone is very well aware of the atrocities that's happening against the Uyghurs. It's totally unacceptable for any government, especially a state government here in the United States, to support these, to buy goods from China, from a company that are using Uyghurs as forced labor.
And lastly, I want to bring up again this main concern, which is that these Uyghur Muslims, the harvesting of organs from Uyghur Muslims. Talk about that a little bit more. I know it's a very disturbing subject, but this is something that everyone should be aware of.
So over the years, the decades, the Chinese government had harvested the organs of mostly political prisoners, including Uyghurs and Falun Gong. But over the past several years, the Chinese government has been secretly transferring Uyghurs, detainees out of the concentration camps to prisoners near the Korean border, to places like Henan, where there are 5 known hospitals that have been implicated by researchers for being complicit in organ harvesting. Sadly, the organs of Uyghurs are being sold to wealthy Middle Eastern and wealthy Muslims across the world as halal organs. So this is some atrocities that are happening as we speak in the 21st century.
Salih Hudayar, thank you so much again for your time, and hopefully you will get a response from the ICC regarding that complaint.
Thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.